You know, Caboose, you know what I'm really craving? I'm craving that pretzel and beer cheese I had in Florida with Mom. She raved about it. We got it, and been thinking about it ever since, you know. If only there was a way that I could get one. Yeah, you're right. I can just make my own. Hey guys, it's Rosina. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to my kitchen. Now, as you can see from the intro, yes, we are going to be making pretzels and beer cheese. Now, this is actually my first time making my own pretzels, and hopefully it goes good. If not, I have a backup, so bear with me here. Let's hope that these pretzels turn out well since it's my first time. We're going to start off with the pretzels first because that is a time-consuming one, and my beer cheese is pretty easy. You just throw everything in the slow cooker. So let's get started with these pretzels. Now, like any dough recipe, we need to start off with the yeast. Now, with this recipe, you're going to need 3 things. You're going to need 1.5 cups of warm water. Make it warm, not hot, not cold, maybe about like lukewarm, temp. So just warm water. Then you add in a packet of yeast, just like, one of the standard little packets to make it easier. And I'll have to remember the tablespoons. I'll put it in there, put it on the ingredient list. But if you don't have the packet and you have like the jars, I will put the measurements that you need for that. And then you just put in a tablespoon of brown sugar. You can do brown sugar or granulated, but I'm going to do brown sugar for this one. So let's put all those into our mixing bowl we have set up right here. And we're going to whisk it together. And then you cover it for about 5 minutes. Here we go. Here's our towel that we're going to use to cover it. And now we wait 5 minutes, and you want to make sure when you look at it that it starts to have a little bit of foam. That's when you know it's ready. All right, it's been 5 minutes. Let's see if it's foamed up. Oh yeah, that is foamy. And now that that's ready, we're going to put it back onto the stand mixer, get Old Reliable ready, and we're gonna mix everything else together with a dough hook. All right, now we're at this angle and we got Old Reliable here. Now, we already have our yeast mixture already in here that's already ready, and then you gotta have a dough hook, like I said. So we got our dough hook already on here. It's just easier. You're making dough, might as well have a dough hook. We're going to start off with salt. Now this is a teaspoon of salt, so we're going to add it in. Now when you're baking, make sure that everything is precise. Don't try and experiment. You never experiment when baking. It has to be precise or it's all going to go wrong. I just want you guys to know. Just make sure. Baking is a science. Just make sure it's all precise. Now let's add in 1 tablespoon of melted unsalted butter. Make sure it's unsalted. It's going to be melted. No solids in here. So let's add this in. You can really see that foam. All right, and then our last ingredient, in this mixture at least, we're gonna add in our all-purpose flour. Now, make sure when you're measuring it, you level it out, obviously, when you're doing your cups and stuff, but we're gonna do these in increments. And it should be about 3 3/4 to 4 cups. It'll just depend on how sticky our dough will be towards the end. So we're gonna start off with 3 cups. And you'll want to mix this for like about a minute and then scrape down any, pieces that get on top. And then we'll start adding in our other flour. So let's start doing that. And you want to do it on low. Don't do it like really fast. Do it on low. All right, let's check on that. Oh yes, still gonna be a little sticky. We're gonna scrape these sides, get it down there so we can get it all in there. Oh yeah, that is sticky. It's sticking to my fingers. Let's add in now our 3/4 cup. So let's put this one in. Give it about another minute to mix into this mixture. Remember to do it on low. So how are you guys doing? You doing good? I hope so. I hope you're doing great. I know I'll be when this is done. Hopefully it turns out, right? All right, let's feel. Oh yeah, that's still pretty sticky. All right, let's add in that last 4th cup. So I guess this is going to be 4 cups. So we're going to add in our last 4th cup, which will make it 4 cups. So 4 cups of flour. One more time with mixing. And it's on low. Remember that. Oh, my sous chef has arrived. Hi, sous chef. Hi, Caboose. What you want, Bubba? You can't have any of this. I'm sorry, honey, you can't have any of this. Not allowed. I'm sorry. Anyway, this is all nice and mixed up. Now, let's check to make sure the stickiness, it can still be a little sticky, but, you don't want it to be like super, super sticky. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. I think for my first time actually making dough, this actually isn't bad. It's pretty firm. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna scrape it off this dough hook. If I can get this off. There we go. I'm getting it off. All right, moved my mixer for a minute because I'm not sure if I want to do most of this by hand or use this to beat it for about like 5 minutes. But let's try doing it by hand. I've never done it before, so please don't judge my kneading skills. But that's what we're gonna do. So we have our bowl here that has our nice little dough, and I'm gonna flour the surface, and then gotta take off the ring because don't want this getting dirty. All right, let's get this dough started. Let's just get a nice spoonful on here. And if we need more, we'll have more, but let's spread that out on here. Every last bit that we can. Okay, that seems fine. Okay, put the bowl down. All right. Ooh, sticky. I need some for my hands. There we go. Now just, knead this for about 5 minutes, like I said, if we were using the stand mixer and everything. But, I'm going to try and knead this myself. So, like I said, this is my first time doing this. So, give me some pointers if you have any, because you know, I'd love to know. I know people usually do like the balling up and stuff like that, like with pizza dough. Can I do that? Hey. Now, I know the trick usually with dough is, you know, obviously you don't want it too sticky, but you also don't want it too, like, dry. So just make sure that, like I said, it's not too sticky and it's not too dry. Now, if you feel it's a little too sticky, just, you know, give yourself a little pat of flour and stuff like that and just kind of work your way in. And then the trick is also to know when you're done kneading is you just give it a little poke. And if it pops up slowly, that's when you know that it's done being kneaded. Or you can do the, I don't know what it's called. I'll have to put it on the screen for the actual word. But if you do that technique, you take like, you know, a piece of this, like a golf size ball, like golf ball, and then you stretch it. And then if light goes through, like a window and stuff, it's a little cloudy today, but you take that and you put it against the light, and if it's see-through, if you can see through it, that's when it's done. Just pretend I'm a cat and just... Like I said, this is my first time kneading, so just let me know how to perfect it. It might be ready. Let's test it again. This is supposed to come back slowly. Okay, I think it might be done. So now that that's done, I think I want to use the bowl again because we're going to cover this back up. So let's put it back into the bowl. Okay, it's in the bowl. We're going to let this rest for about 10 to 30 minutes. We'll see where we're really feeling that it's perfect. I might do it at 20 since it's in between, so we'll go from there, and I'll actually put the actual time that it's done in the description with the recipe, but also on here, so don't worry. So let's get this covered. Using the same towel. And poof! Lola's gone. Wrong. Lola's right here, ya Brussels sprout. Anyways, let it rest. While this is resting, we're going to get our baking soda bath going. Now, you're going to want a big pot for this. I'm going to be using my Dutch oven, which I already have ready on the stove to get started to boil. Now, it's about 9 cups of water, and then you add in a ½ cup of baking soda. Not baking powder, baking soda. And you'll want that going while this is resting, just so it's ready and boiled by the time this is ready to be rolled out and cut. All right, took this bad boy out. It was about 20 minutes. I think it's all good for the 20 minutes. But we're going to start making these pretzels. Now, I'm going to actually attempt to make the big pretzel with this. But with this dough, you're going to want to cut it into about like 6 different pieces. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to worry about that. Just make sure it's like kind of an equal 6. And to do that, we're going to use a bench scraper. I believe that's what this is called. Believe me, I don't know a lot of tools. I don't bake a lot. I don't make dough a lot, so I never really use this. But now I'm using it. Now, I'd really rather you use either a bench scraper or a pizza cutter. We're going to use this one today, but if you have a pizza cutter, use that, and if you don't have this. I'd recommend the sharp knife, but I don't want you to hurt yourself, so please don't use a very sharp knife. Please be careful if you do. If you don't have either of these, just please be careful using a sharp knife. And make sure it's sharp. Don't have a dull knife. You're going to hurt yourself. Believe me, I've done it a couple of times. I've nicked my thumb so many times. So this is what we're using so I don't hurt myself. 6 equal parts. Let's see, how do I want to do this? Now, like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. You know, sometimes you can't get, you know, that perfect. And like I said, pieces will be in this bowl. That's where I'm going to put all the pieces once I get it all started. But I'm going to separate all these, put it onto this plate that I have back here, and then we'll start on the dough. Really get in there. Come on. All right, we're going to try that one. Let's see if we can get this big pretzel. If not, we're just going to do bites. You know, you think you cut them hard enough, and still no. Roll this out. Try to get it, you know. I don't know how big I'm going to do it, but we're going to try. I can smell the baking soda bath going over there. I don't know if I'll be able to do a big one, but we can try. That's all that matters, right? I need to like move this because it's going to be so long. Wish I had a bigger surface, but I don't. Now for the bites, I'll probably do, you know, not super thick, but like small enough that like they're not, you know, too big. But like I said, if this doesn't turn out, we're just gonna use our backups. But we'll see. I think this will turn out. I think it'll be fine. Who else loves pretzels? I love pretzels. There was a place called Wetzel's Pretzels that was in the mall. I don't know if they're like around anymore because, you know, I don't see them a lot anymore. There used to be one in a place called Lakeside Mall. I'm sure a lot of you probably have seen videos of Lakeside Mall and how like abandoned it basically is, which makes me sad. That was the first mall I ever went to as a kid. But there was a place called Wetzel's Pretzels, and that was my favorite pretzel place before Auntie Anne's came along and then took their thunder. But you know what? That's what happens. And Auntie Anne's pretzels are good. Don't get me wrong. I like Auntie Anne's pretzels. Auntie Anne's pretzels are great. But Wetzel's was my top dog. I don't know what it was, but their pretzels were fantastic. But did anybody else try Wetzel's? Let me know in the comments. All right, let's see if this boy is ready to go. It's bigger than what it was, but like, still not big enough. I want to have like those giant Bavarian ones. You know the ones I'm talking about. The ones you get at like German restaurants, I think. The ones you get in Germany, the Bavarian ones. Oh, that's what I want to do. But don't think I'll get there. I might need like a big rope of this. May have to stick to the bites, guys. I don't know if I'm going to get this to be the big boy. I think it's because it keeps stretching back to its original like form. I'm seeing it getting back to being like thick in certain spots. You can see my little snake is it kind of does look like a snake. It's a slithery snake. This might be the best we can get, guys. This might be the best we can get. I mean, it's a pretty decent sized pretzel. It is a decent size. Maybe we'll keep this one. We'll keep that one. I think this one's fun. All right, now we're gonna do the pretzel bites. Now, I think the dough turned out pretty well, I think. Like I said, we'll check on this later. I'll probably just show me cutting this one into bites, and then we'll skip showing the other ones. You don't need to see all of it. It's all gonna just be the same, so I don't want to worry about it. All right, bite time. Now I'll show you the size I'm thinking about doing. Say probably about like that size. Little tube right here. There we go. About like that kind of size. So a nice little size. All right, and then I'll finish up here, and then we're gonna go to the baking soda bath and do that. All right, boiling time. I'm gonna start off with the big pretzel first. See how that goes. You don't wanna leave your pretzels in there too long. I will say that. I'm gonna put it in for about 10 to 15 seconds, especially for the bites. I might just do 10 for them, but you mostly know when they're done when they're floating. I'd say about 10 to 15 seconds, because if you do any longer in this bath, they're gonna have a little metallic taste and you don't want that. I'd probably do at least about 10 seconds. I'm gonna start off with the big pretzel. There's two ways we can do after it's done boiling, or after it's boiled. You can do the traditional egg wash with it and then put the salt on top and then put it in the oven. Unfortunately, my eggs went bad and I didn't have time to get more eggs, so we're not gonna do an egg wash, but we can just take it when it's still wet, sprinkle it with salt, and then put it in the oven. What I might do is, at least for the bites, I think what I'll do is I'm not going to put the salt on them after boiling. I'm gonna put them in a bowl, in the same bowl that they were in, and I'm going, after it's clean, and then I'm going to add melted butter and then have the salt and then just put it on that way, at least for the bites. The big pretzel, I'm gonna do the method of just, after it's boiled, put the salt on. Now for the oven, you're gonna want it to be set at 400 degrees and you will bake your pretzel bites for about 15 minutes. It's not long, so, but like I said, we'll see when it's done. I'll show you what happened when it's done, and hopefully they turned out great. So let's get to boiling. All right, we got our bad boy here, or sort of big pretzel. I mean, it's kind of a good size for both my hands. I got tiny hands, so saying this is big doesn't really say anything. So what we're gonna use to scoop this out is a little scooper like this. That's what you need to scoop this out. I can't remember exactly what this is called, but I'll put it on the screen if I remember. So we're gonna use this to scoop it out. So let's get bad boy in there. And I already have the baking sheet set up. It's right here. It's kind of off screen, but it's right here. And make sure to have parchment paper, but if you have parchment, kind of grease it up a little bit. Luckily mine are already kind of greased up, so just make sure if you're using parchment, spray it with some nonstick spray. All right. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's get bad boy out. If I can grab him. Come on, drip. All right, and then, real quick. All right. Now, normally you want to do more of the coarse, like the bigger salts, but I think this finishing salt will be just fine. Now let's do our bites. Now, you want to put about 8 to 10 pieces on here. I'm going to do 10 just to make this go a little quicker. So remember, 10 to 15 seconds, but I'm just going to do it for 10. I'm going to just let them sit in this spoon. Wasn't really counting. Whoops. That's on me. All right. Now bites, you're not getting the salt on you. All right, we'll do 2 batches of 10 and then we will show me putting into the oven. All right, let's put them in the oven. Actually, we're gonna put it on the top shelf. That way it doesn't get burned. Hey Siri, set a time for 15 minutes. Thank you, Siri. Oh, actually, these turned out really good. Now you'll want to have 2 baking sheets, 2. Because you're gonna make a lot. But yeah, even big boy turned out pretty good. Yeah, he's still as big as my hand. Now I'll have to try one of these. We'll do one without the beer cheese. Let's do a tiny one, just to see how they turned out. Let's see. Not bad, but it'll taste even better. And what I'm craving, it'll taste better with the beer cheese. So let's get that beer cheese started. All right, beer cheese time. Now this one's gonna be quick and simple. You don't have to worry about it. Just get your slow cooker and add all your ingredients. Now what I add into my beer cheese is I put in a whole thing of cream cheese. I don't exactly have measurements for this, but I'm gonna give you measurements just so you can follow along. Now we have some sour cream. I'd probably add about like a 1/4 cup in there. So let's try and get a 1/4 cup out of here. Yeah, it should be good. That's probably about a 1/4 cup, I think. A tablespoon of each of these seasonings. We're gonna go with garlic powder. So about a tablespoon of that. And then some paprika. And then a tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Yeah, it's about a tablespoon. And then you're gonna wanna add in 1 can of beer. Now I'm using Fat Tire because this is the one that my husband really likes to use for my beer cheese and also for bangers and mash when I make bangers and mash. Let's try not to break a nail. Ah, there we go, so satisfying. Now I'm not much of a beer drinker. If you are, that's cool, but like I can't do it. I taste too much of the yeast. So I'm not huge on beer, but I love beer cheese though. So pour that whole can in there. All right. And then we're gonna add in 2 cheeses. Now I do 2 different cheeses. Usually you just do a cheddar, but I like to add a little extra. So this is what I did for Super Bowl. So this is my Super Bowl beer cheese. Now let's add those cheeses. Now we got about 2 cups of sharp pinconning cheddar cheese. Get the pinconning. It's great for melting and it just tastes fantastic. And get the sharp kind. So sharp pinconning cheddar, 2 cups. And then we're going to add in some pepper jack cheese. Now I added pepper jack because, 2 cups of that as well, sorry. I did pepper jack because I thought, ooh, maybe I'd give it a little spice, you know, a little kick. And I will say, doing these 2 really was a hit during Super Bowl. All right, now we're gonna let this sit in the slow cooker to melt away. I do it probably on high for maybe about an hour, 2 hours. Just check on it, make sure to whisk it a little to get it to, you know, mix together. And then normally I would put some toppings on. Now these are optional, you don't have to do it, but what I did for mine is I put some cooked chorizo on top and some green onions. And let me tell you, that was chef's kiss. Now, you don't have to do that. You can put whatever toppings you think you want on your beer cheese, but it's really not needed. You might just want just the cheese. So let's get this cooking. And your beer cheese should look something like that. Now, ooh, don't touch that, it's hot. I added about another cup each of the sharp cheddar and the pepper jack because it seemed like it needed to be a little more thicker. So probably add another cup of each to it. All right, now that everything's finally done, let's taste test this bad boy with these pretzels. Let's take our big boy here. We're gonna rip off a nice piece. And let's taste test. Delicious. Now that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoy. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I can make more videos like this. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.